Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Xtra podcast. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, we have a little bit of a special show tonight. If you are listening on audio, where you find your podcasts, then I'll let you know that it is just me tonight. Um, Simi is having a little bit of technical difficulties. We're hoping to get him back next week again. But we're going to have a short episode today just to get through this past week's news and to make sure that you guys are kept up to date. If you guys are watching this, you know what I'm going to say next, which is go ahead and like and subscribe. Hit the icon. We've never said this before, but make sure you hit that bell icon so you can get notified whenever we post on YouTube. Um, Share this with all of your friends. Make some more Interisti. And also, you can find us on X at inter_extra. That is XTRA, no E in there. Um, but yeah, just to keep this, like I said, short, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. If y'all would bear with me, please. First time that I'm in control of all of these, of everything here. So, um, yeah, we're just going to go through, I'll break it down the episode. We're going to do all of the games from the past week, all the Inter games, um, that we think that y'all would be interested in. Um, And then, of course, the transfer market finished. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go through all the news from this past week. I'm not going to dive deep into my thoughts. I want to make sure that me and Simi and I will have a conversation about all of that next week when we can get him back. Um, so come incomings and outgoings, and then finish up with all of the other news that we've had from this past week. So to start off, let's go ahead and get into the games. Um, if I want to start off with our wonderful women's team who won their European Cup qualifying match. So they lost their Champions League qualifying match last week. They won their European Cup qualifying match. So they will be playing in the European Cup or the Europa Cup, I should say, sorry, which is their equivalent of the Europa League. So um, it's awesome. They're already in that competition. That's what this game has solidified for them, so they'll be competing in that over the next season. Um, they also, um, in addition to that, we had the Primavera play this past weekend. Um, if you if you follow the Primavera, they did lose 1-0 to Fiorentina. Um, like Simi and I said last week, that team's kind of been stripped some of their best players, bumped them up to the U23 team. I don't know how much we're going to be able to get them playing for both teams, especially if the FIGC continues to play all three of our men's teams um, on the same day. Uh, it's going to be quite difficult to kind of get them to be able to play or even like have cameos. You know, if you have the Primavera on Friday and the U23 on Sunday, maybe some of them can give substitute appearances in one or the other. They are young guys. They're not. It's yeah. Anyway, it's not senior football. Um, uh, but yeah. So 1-0 loss. Hopefully they can improve after the international break. Um, and then we have the U23 team. In their second game of the season, drew 2-2 to Pro Patria. Um, the our youngster Antonio Lagumina um, scored a brace in his first appearance. I make a joke about him being a youngster because he is 29. He is one of the 4 players over 23 that Inter U23 is allowed to have. So, yeah, congrats to him on his debut goals. But yeah, that's 2 points from 2 games for the U23 team. Hopefully, we can see some improvement after the international break for them as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and get into the disaster that we had this past weekend. Um, Inter versus Udinese. I'm going to get into some of the pre-match conference stuff with Chivu, some of the things that he said, because I like some of the things that he said. I think it's important to kind of, since I have the freedom to choose of what we're talking about here, um, I will be showing a little bit more. We don't talk about the pre-match stuff, kind of because it doesn't really matter at that point. We have the game. Post-match stuff is a little bit more what we're looking at. But I think this was kind of important. This is something that Kivu was, um, yeah, he has a little bit of a different philosophy. I think at least he's speaking about a different philosophy than what we have witnessed um, from Inzaghi, which was Inzaghi. We could tell he had his favorites. You know, there was a best 11, starting 11 that Inter had. Um, he it almost seemed like it didn't matter how somebody performed in a previous game. He was going to go with whatever rotation he thought was necessary, um, which is good and bad, right? So good, you have your rotation, but then also um, someone plays well and then they're forced to sit. So say it's like Fratesi or Zielinski, like maybe they needed a couple games under their legs to get going. Well, now it's not there. Um, so we have to live with the rotation, and players don't really get a rhythm other than that starting 11 who is just so experienced that they're going to be able to come in and click anyway. It's not good for, I would say, new signings and young players. And I think a lot of you would agree with me on that. But yeah, this a really good quote by Kivu, something that I really liked. You earn your place in training. He doesn't just look at the 11 starters, but the whole squad. They need to train hard off the pitch, have a good mentality and behave on and off the pitch. And he wants to have selection problems, which I really enjoy. Um, now, um, also, what I read into that is that he is going to have how do I say this? He's going to bring everything into consideration, right? So he's talking about off the pitch and training. You know, someone looks good in training, they're going to play. You know, I think he's also going to take into account the previous game or, form. It just basing a starting 11 off of form, which I think is incredible. You give the position, the starting job, to the players that are playing the best. That's how you get the best 11. And so I really like this from Kivu. Um, I'm hoping to see a lot more of that. And of course, we saw in the game Sucic did start. Um, and I'll talk a little bit more about how the game went, in my opinion, in a little bit. Um, but I have a couple more quotes from him. Um, but this one seemed kind of interesting. So he said, he was talking about what might happen against Udinese. Um, and I looked up the Udinese squad before we played them, and the average height of that squad, of the starting 11 the week before they played us, was 6'2", 188, I think that is in metric, 188 centimeters, which is just insane. That is a really, really tall starting 11, really tall. And it was funny. Yeah, he saying that the side needs to have the right balance of mentality, aggression, bite, quality, technicality. But yeah, we saw with Udinese how organized and tough they are and quick they are. So it was interesting. I think he called it. He sees it. Um, he sees it, and I think that's a good thing. That bodes well for me when it comes to how well I think Kivu could do this season. Um, he sees the problems. Really, what we need is to have him be able to have a solution to said problems. So, um, yeah. So, in the end, and now we'll talk about the game a little bit. Uh, We lost 2-1 to Udinese. Udinese has been a tough team for us in the past couple years. I was not happy about it. This team looked awful in the first half. Absolutely atrocious. Hakan did not look like he wanted to be there. Um, I'll just go through the whole lineup. So Lautaro and Thuram, they look more rested and more fresh than they did at the end of the last 6 months of last season. Thank goodness, because they were awful. Touches were bad, couldn't run. Like Marcus is running around the field right now, fresh, like what we used to see when he was at his best, and it's awesome to see. Um, and then Lautaro, his touches. Oh man, his first touches. It seems to be back. It looks great. His passes, his crossfield passes, his hold up game is looking a lot better. But like we have said for 4 years under Inzaghi, where's the finishing? You know, they need so many chances to score. And against this Udinese side, you're not getting headers. Like with the crosses into the box, it just wasn't going to happen. Um, the midfield, or we'll go with the wing backs, so DiMarco and Dumfries. Um, I liked I liked them. DiMarco had a good goal ruled off. Um, he also does not look like himself from a year ago, which we need that DiMarco back. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's confidence, if it's the fact that he is who he is off the pitch, and so his body's already catching up to him at the ripe old age of 28 for him. Um, um, Dumfries looked good. I saw some forward thinking from him. So Kivu is actually, Kivu wanting to be focused on looking forward, moving forward, vertical play. I saw Dumfries trying that. He's always good at that. Um, uh, his I felt like his technical side of his game was typical Dumfries as well. We needed something. His physicality is great, but when he gets bullied and he's not more physical, say hello to Loki, everybody. Um, he when he's not beating men, when he's getting bullied off the ball, when he's not as fast, when he's not physically imposing, he doesn't have anything else to beat a player. Um, um, of course, he always has effort. The only thing that I've never ever hated Dumfries on is his effort. That has never been lacking. He is a leader in that locking room, captain at PSV. He's a Netherlands international. He's an incredible mentality to have on this team. But that can only do so much when your greatest strengths are taken away. So the effort was there. He put in, I believe he did put in 90 minutes. So that's great. Awesome. Um, but yeah. So then the midfield, I already said Hakan looked off of it. He does not look good. I watched some of the Turkey game today. Did not look great there either. It looks like it's not just Inter, it's a Hakan issue. Hopefully he can turn it around. Maybe he should sit the bench for a couple weeks. Can't believe I'm saying that. But yes, I hope he sits the bench. I think there's a way to keep Hakan on the bench, but also not play my least favorite midfielder, Mkhitaryan. Um, but yeah, Barella looked Sucic looked out of position. I'll start with Sucic first. So Sucic looked out of position. He looked much more comfortable on the right. I think it's actually a formation thing. Um, I think he looked better because when Barella played in the Regista role, they actually played a more of a double pivot type of build up. And he was on the right side. I think he was more comfortable there. I think that would be the best position for him to be in a double pivot on the right side. Um, Barella was Barella. Um, it was a 6 out of 10 game for him. Um, he was doing things. He lost or he had some bad passes, but I think it's because he's trying to do what Kivu wants. changing from the sideways passing um, to more forward thinking. Um, and then in defense, thank goodness we have Bastoni because this would have been more this would have been worse without him. Acerbi is old. We saw the decline last season. He had incredible moments, but he's old. It's time to go. We needed to move on from him this summer, but we have a whole nother year of him. So I guess we'll have to live with it. Um Now Bisek got the start over Pavard. Looks like there was a secondary reason behind that, which we'll get into later. Everybody knows what that news is. Everybody was there on the final day of the mercato, so I don't have to. You don't have to guess what that is, but Bisek starting, there was a reason behind it. The thing is that Bisek, his best quality is his recovery pace. So he needs a high line. A high line will help him defensively. But when you have a Cherby, you have to manage that high line and a high press with a low block, staying in line with a Cherby. I don't know how well they communicate. Um, Pavard and Acerbi and Bastoni can communicate very well. Um, Pavard's also a more experienced player, so I think he just has the tactical intelligence more than Bisek does. Bisek can get there, um, but yeah, it did not look good. It will not work. What Kiva wants to do will not work with Bisek unless Acerbi is out of the lineup. They both can't play together. Um, and then Sommer, age is catching up to him too. Sorry to say it. I know you love him, Johnny, but I don't think that you'll disagree with me. It's time for him to be back up. It's Handanovic all over again. We can just move on from this. It's going to be okay. We will survive. But we're going to go ahead and get into some of Kivu's post-match comments, which I think were spot on. Um, Talked about how in the second half, showing more desire, grit, but lost composure. And I think that that composure was lost in front of goal. And of course, he mentions that we weren't able to capitalize on the opportunities um, and create more chances. That's that final third um, composure that we just didn't have. We had the effort. We came out in the second half much better. Um, oh, also, sorry, this is how my brain works. I'm sorry, you're all gonna have to suffer with me through this episode. Um, Dumfries' handball. That's a handball. It sucks. Complain about the rule, not about that being called a handball, because sadly he did make his body bigger. The punishment does not fit the crime because for them to get a goal from a ball that's going out of play and gets saved, like that's going into the side netting, but Dumfries's hand gets in the way and it's a penalty. And it sucks. Um, like that again, it also is a natural movement. It's far enough away from the attacker where he does have a reaction gap. That's a part of the rule as well. Um, it sucks. I don't think it would be a bozo moment, but so I'm not going to blame Dumfries for that. But it was, yeah, tough moment. Hard to concede that in the for the equalizer. And then again, also for Bisek's contribution, Acerbi and Bisek's contribution on the second goal, I have been saying give credit to the attacker. Like that's it. You've got to give credit to the attacker at that point. Um, Sometimes attackers do things well. That was a great shot, you know. Um, Dumfries got beat on the inside with his man. He was on the outside of his man. and who I can't remember the player, but as he's running into the box, he's on the inside. All Ata has to do is lay in a pass there. So Bizek has to be able to cover that. I would have preferred him take a chance earlier. Don't wait till the box to make that chance. Press him, foul him, right? You have cover. It's not going to be a red card. You're not the last man. Foul him. Take the yellow card. A yellow card and getting substituted at halftime is a much better result to that action than a second goal and 0 points. But Acerbi also gets bullied by Davis in that. If you go back and watch that, gets bullied. He is not as imposing as he was 2 years ago in our Scudetto season and in the first Champions League run that we had, where we lost to Man City in the final. Like Acerbi was insane for those 2 years. It's not there anymore. It's not there anymore. Um, So in the second half, yeah, I did like the effort that I saw from the guys. It sucks that nothing came of it. Um, but yeah, it's the tale of Inter for the past 4 years. Create, effort, chances, none of them taken. And I think the best chance that we had actually was the Bisek chance, but I wouldn't have called it a Bisek chance. That's a Pio chance. Pio comes off the bench, hold up plays great, linking up with people, great ideas. His redirecting the ball with his heel. If Turam was ready for that, I think he could have gotten onto the end of that. Like he looked good, but Bisek takes that header from him. Pio's in a much better position. I know Bisek probably doesn't think that he's right behind him, but Pio has to yell louder that he's got it because I think if he gets his head to it, that's a shot on target and potentially a goal, which would have been great. Um, Also, Chivu changing formations mid game. That was a 4-2-4, if none of you noticed. That was amazing. Zielinski came in and did great. I hope he can stay healthy all season. Um, and yeah, just I like the substitutes. Mkhitaryan also came on and put in a shift as he always does. I like him off the bench. I don't like him as a starter. Off the bench for this last season of his contract, great. He came on, he did the dog work that Zielinski doesn't want to do and allowed Zielinski to do what he wants to do. And it was good. 4-2-4. Um, yeah, Pio and Boni came on. Um, and I liked both of them. I think they're going to be such great assets this season. And it's disappointing that neither of them could get onto the end of anything, create anything of value. Uh, and then yeah, Carlos Augusto came on and puts in a shift defensively as he always does. Yeah, but Kivu throwing in a different formation, which was amazing. I mean, Inzaghi for 2 years there did like for like changes. Bisek on for Pavard because Bisek is more attacking than Pavard. So that is our attacking substitution. It's I'm not going to go into it. Not going to complain. I said I'd keep this short, but we're already 20 minutes in. Um, but yeah, disappointing loss. Um, Disappointing way to go into the international break. Um, Hopefully Kivu can learn from this because we have a big test coming up in a week and a half, and um, I was hoping we didn't lose this game and we could drop points in the Juve game in the Derby d'Italia, but uh, I don't think we can draw at minimum. Like Kivu needs to have confidence going into these fixtures, and like to things start going south. And I know Beppe and Auxilio would be a little bit patient, but this is Inter. If things go south after 8 to 10 games, they have to make a decision. So I'm hoping for good things. I think good things are there. Kivu sees the issues, and yeah, but the solutions to those I'm going to get into now. Um, Now the mercato has closed, but before it did, we did make some moves. Thank goodness. We got our center back. There were reports that we weren't going to do anything at the end of the window. Um, we, you know, only way that we were going to get someone in is if someone went out. But Cherby has a 500,000 euro like termination clause. Get rid of him. Go. Please get rid of him. Okay. That needed to happen, but it didn't. And we were able to bring in Manuel Akanji, which is a great addition. He is going to be able to play center back and right center back. We've also seen De Vrij fill at right center back, which I think I would prefer, and I would prefer Akanji to be at center back almost permanently. But we should all go and welcome Akanji to the club. I do want to. Um, he talked to the Intermedia House, Inter TV. If y'all want to go see some of the things that he said, Thomas or Simi posted uh, tweets about it. But I'm going to bring up one about um, from. Apologies. Give me just a second. Where did it go? Oh man. Looks. Oh, there it is. There we go. Let's bring this over. Yeah. All right. Cool. Bear with me. Like I said, first time being in charge of all this. Um. So, um, we have a quote here from Akanji. Um, that talked about his first his first football kit, which was Bobo Vieri at Inter, which I think is incredible. I think this is a great addition, not only from his technical capabilities and the positions that he can fill. Of course, he's going to help Kivu play a higher line, but also he has love for Inter. I love that. I love players that want to come in that want to be at Inter, just like Benji Pavard, Benji l'Interista, Barella, Bastoni, all Interisti. Um, this is awesome. This is incredible. Um, so yeah, this is great. And hoping to see um, more of that from Akanji, some more Interismo from the guy. It would be great. Um, Now after Akanji, that was the only addition that we made in the for the senior team in the last week of the window. We had a signing for the Inter U23 team, final signing. Um, uh, we signed Iwo Kazmarski, is how I'd pronounce that. If I butchered that, if anybody knows how to pronounce that properly, please correct me. Um, Joined from Empoli on loan. I believe he is a midfielder. He is, I think he's 20 or 21. So hopefully he has a good season. We have another Polish player on our squad after we have Zielinski here now, but also we had Zalewski. So we're building up um, and Zubarek. Zubarek is also in the U23 team. We're building up a little bit of a Polish contingency here, which is pretty cool. Um, and then to round out all of our incomings, um, and I guess I should say stayings, we did extend are these two youth players, Christos Alexiou, who is with the U23 team permanently, and then Dylan Zarate, who is back and forth between the Primavera and mostly with the Primavera, but also with the U23 team, I believe. So congrats to the both of them. Um, and yeah. And then I know I've mentioned his name a couple times now. Um, breaks my heart, but we're going to move on to outgoings. We have lost Benji L'interista. Benjamin Pavard has officially moved to Olympique de Marseille. Um, we were hoping that he didn't have to leave, um, but it looks like um, the management did not think that we could have all of those players on the squad. And I'll talk about why that frustrates me later because it doesn't make sense to say that you needed to get rid of one player for one to come in. Of course, Benjamin is a completely different center back to Akanji, so it's not a like for like in and out. Um, but um, this move, if it um, needed to happen in July, and I'll hold off my comments for that until later. In addition to that, we have Taremi has officially moved to Olympiacos. So I wish him well. That's a permanent transfer um, for a minimal fee. Um, the Pavard deal is a loan with option. That could no, ours Kanji is a loan with option that could become an obligation based on some difficult parameters to reach. But um, yeah, Benjamin Pavard is a loan with an option, so he could be back next summer when we get rid when Acerbi and De Vrij's contracts expire. I would love that. I would love to exercise the Akanji option and Pavard to come back. Hopefully Marseille don't feel like it's worth their money to get him, which I think would be stupid, but it would benefit us. It'd be great. Um, so um, yeah, so we had that news. And then what else? Oh, and in the final, after the Mercato closed, we got news that an offer, a 42 million euro offer for Jan Oral Bisek of 42 million was rejected from Crystal Palace, I believe. Um, Let me pull that up. Of course, I'm the one in charge here. I can look at these posts that we have. Um, let's see. There it is. No, maybe it's that one. Yeah, yes, from Crystal Palace or multiple offers. Actually, it looks like multiple offers from Crystal Palace. So, um, I understand not taking that deal if it was offered at the end of the window. Beppe and Auxilio are not going to move fast enough to get a good replacement for him. 42 million would have been an incredible Plus Valenza, but you need to make that deal in July. Um, and then what else do we have for outgoings? Oh, there were reports as well that there were some bids for Pio rejected. So we heard about Napoli a couple weeks ago. I believe the news mentioned Milan inquired about him. Um, but yeah, okay. I don't think they were serious, but also never let him go to Milan. Never. Fratesi rejected a bid from Newcastle. We also had Palacios staying, um, despite loan offers from Zenit St. Petersburg and Basel. Um, After he rejected the Santos move that was on, he didn't want to go back to Brazil. He was, I don't know the reasons to that, but frustrating. He should have been the move that opened up a spot for Akanji. But in the end, he stays. So let's see if we can use him. I believe that he's probably going to have another loan deal in January when he doesn't get any play time for these next 4 months. Um, but other than yeah, that is everything on the Mercato side. Um, and I want to wrap up the mercato talk with this. This is all the moves that we have made this past year. So, if y'all want to go ahead, y'all can go ahead and look at that and read that. Um, we yeah. So Luis Enrique, uh, Ange Anjon Boni, Andy Doof, Petr Sucic. Um, we brought in Nikola Zalewski and then sent him out. Manuel Akanji and Pio returned from loan. Um, and then all of those going out. My biggest problem is the departures, not not the arrivals. I think the arrivals were good, um, but the departures really were just atrocious. I like the job that Pepe and Auxilio did here was mediocre at best. Um, uh, and I don't know what else to say. Um, I can't remember if I gave you a rating already, but 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 is what I would give this. This is just, eh, it was poor. It was lazy. It was slow. Um, you know, all of these deals that we did in the past week should have been done months ago. All of the players that we see are having issues. Hakan, Aslani, if there was, actual issues with Benjamin Pavard off the pitch, those should have been dealt with months ago. What are we doing waiting until September 1st to finish these deals? And so, yeah. And then, of course, if you follow me on Twitter, you will know that my least favorite move, it is going to be the detriment of our season, in my opinion. It is the worst move of the Mercato. It locked everything in place. We could not make any moves because of selling Alexander Stankovic. It won't make sense to me. We're going to buy him back for 22 million next summer. What's the point? What was the point of selling him? But I guess Inter on a tight budget is okay with throwing away 12 million for nothing. I guess for a year's worth of experience, he's going to the Champions League, but I think he would have gotten significant play time under Kivu because Kivu has, like Pio, has known him for a long time. So, uh, and I did want to address one of Bepe's comments, which frustrates me to no end. Um, this is when I'm going to give a mini rant on our management. I do not think anything else will happen on the market. The squad is full numerically. Only strong teams can maintain their core. It is certainly not a flaw, but a strength. Everything was done in consultation with the coach. Bull. Bull. That's just absolute crap. Um, you didn't give Kivu anything that he wanted. Anything that he wanted. You gave alternatives to what he wanted, but you didn't give him anything he wanted. I think the only thing that you actually gave him that he wanted was Boni, right? He probably wanted Kone, and Auxilio said, "Well, there's Andy Doof, who's a similar profile. Why don't we just get him? Another French midfielder, big, strong French midfielder, not the same level as Kone." Um, Zalewski brought in loan for Inzaghi. Sucic bought in January for Inzaghi. Pio, loan player, brought back. That's not a Kivu gift. Boni was already being done um, before Kivu came in. Like those negotiations, we almost got him before the Club World Cup, before Kivu was even appointed. That's not a Kivu signing. Um, so like this frustrates me to no end, and it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. because w- the Champions League's list leaves off Palacios. You could have had one more player on the list, but didn't because Kivu left off Palacios because he's not going to use him because he's never going to use him. And so you say that it's there numerically, but you didn't do the job to actually fill the squad numerically with players that will be used. This might be harsh, but Palacios is young enough and doesn't have enough appearances in Serie A or for Inter or for a senior team to disqualify him from the U23 team. Send him to the U23 team. That's his level right now. He's 21, 22 years old. That's not a terrible thing. Not everyone has the same um career advancement, development, right? So send him there. Now you have a spot available for, excuse me, for a player to come in or to not lose Benjamin Pavard. Um, so yeah, so it's very frustrating. Um, um, but I'll move on from the mercato. And we'll probably dive more into next week when we get Simi back. I'd love to hear his thoughts on everything and if we can crash out together again. Um, but just finishing up with some of the other news that we had this past week, we had the Champions League draw on Friday, last Friday. If you're listening to this, it will probably be on Friday. Sorry, I'm recording Thursday night for me um, in the States. Um, and yes, so we have a pretty interesting schedule actually. So we have all of our pot three and pot four games as our first four games, and then all of pot one and two as our last four games. This has pros and cons, in my opinion. Pros, it's the easier games out of the way at first, right? Cons, if you don't get the points that you need to get from those first four games, if you don't get 12 points, you might struggle to finish top eight. Now, that's not the end of the world, right? I think it was about 10 or 11 points to qualify for the playoff games, the from 9 to 24. Um, but we should shoot for the top eight again. This Champions League draw, we have Ajax away, Slavia Prague at home. Um, and I'll give the dates. So Ajax away, September 17th. Slavia Prague home, September 30th. Union St. Gilloise, October 21st, away. Karait Almaty, I think is the way you pronounce that. Again, if anybody knows how to pronounce that properly, you can correct me. Please let me know. That is at home November 5th. Also, thank goodness that one's at home because they are an East Kazakhstan team, like close to the Chinese border. I would not want to fly there before we played a game in Serie A. That would be miserable. Um, Next, we have Atletico Madrid away at the Wanda Metropolitano on November 26th. We have Liverpool home December 9th, and we then followed up with Arsenal home January 20th, and then Borussia Dortmund away um, on January 26th. Now, I am a little terrified of those last three games. Liverpool at home. I'm glad it's at home. That's going to be a tough game. Needs to be at home. The Curva Nord, I believe, is protesting Serie A games. So we are going to have an atmosphere at all these Champions League home games, which is going to be crucial for that game. And hopefully that situation is dealt with in one way or another by then. And then, sorry, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Um, and then Arsenal, as we saw last season, is always going to be a tough game. Um, and then if we need to go to Borussia Dortmund on the final day of the league to finish top 8, to get a result to finish top 8, that's a tough place to play. I don't know. I don't know. But hoping for good things. It's a good first 4 games for Kivu. He can kind of get going. He has he doesn't have a tough test immediately. I do believe we can get 12 points from those first 4 games. Excuse me. It is going to be a good. Um, it's good. I think it's good. I'm really happy about those. And just to follow up on that, um, we do have after the Champions League draw, Inter provided the um, our squad list, which and like I mentioned, Thomas Palacios is left out, which means there's a spot in this list for a senior player, which frustrates the hell out of me. Um, Also, if you don't see Pio on the Inter A team list, it's because he doesn't have to be on there. So that frees up a spot, maybe in January, for another player to be added. Because he came through our Primavera, through our youth system, he can be put on the B list until he's 23, I believe. So yeah, so he doesn't take up another spot, which is good. And then I'll just kind of scroll here um, through the list just so that y'all can see everybody. Of course, this is on Inter Extra. This is on the Inter Extra account. Um, uh, so if y'all are listening on podcasts on audio, you can go to Inter Extra on X, and all you would need to search is um, the UEFA list, and you'll be able to find it there. And then just to wrap up, yeah, we got something interesting this past week. Not really news. It's not official news, but it was something um fun, a little bit positive, a lighter note than all of my frustrated uh solo rant that I've been going on for the last 45 minutes. We got a leak of next year's kit. Oh my goodness, if this is the kit, this is so much better than anything that we've had over the last, geez, 6 years, maybe 5, 6 years. This is incredible. This is amazing. Um, love the gold. Love the gold. That bringing back that color to an Inter kit and to an Inter badge is necessary. This is what we should have all the time. Um, Notice there are, if you can look closely, or if you go to the post on Twitter, you'll see that there's little zigzags on the jersey. That is like the 2010-2011 Inter kit after we won the treble. So it's the kit with all of the patches, with everything on it. I've got one myself. Um, so if this is the Inter's kit next season, you know that I'm getting this. It's going to be great. And then um, 2 more things before I wrap up. Um, our guy, our banter era aficionado, um, one of the guys I was so happy actually won a Scudetto at his time at Inter. A soldier for us has retired. Danilo D'Ambrosio has announced his retirement from football. Um, if you want to go read his post, it's there. Um, I think he posted it on Twitter, but it's also there on um, Thomas Orsimi posted that on the Inter Extra account. So if you want to go read what he said, um, you can go find it there uh, on our account. And I just want to say thank you, Danilo. Thank you, Danilo, for everything that you gave to the club, that you stood by the club through a really bad time. You might have not been the best player, but you had some great moments, some of your goal line clearances to help qualify us for the Champions League. If you guys don't remember that, he played a big part in those Spalletti teams. Some moments, just like Vecino had some moments, D'Ambrosio had some good moments for us. So uh, congrats to him on a wonderful career, and I hope he enjoys retirement. Um, and lastly, I want to congratulate. This happened before the Udinese game this past weekend. I want to congratulate Pio on winning the Serie B MVP from last season. Well deserved. He was incredible last season. So kudos to him. Um, yeah. Anyway, that wraps up the show. Um, I want to mention all the games that Inter have. Oh, I didn't mention players on international break. I can do that real quick. From the Primavera squad, um, we have Lamin Balo, Matteo Cocchi, Filippo um, Cerpelletti, and Jamal Idrisu, all playing for Italy's U19 team. We have Mattia Mosconi playing for the Italy U20 team. And then um, Pio, congrats to Pio on his first senior squad call up. So he's with the squad. Who knows if he'll play? If you're listening to this on Friday, Italy does play on Friday. So we'll see if he gets some game time. At least I hope they do. It's going to be embarrassing if I say that and they don't. They do. They play against Estonia on Friday at the night at 8:45 Central European time. And then, of course, you're the regulars, Di Marco, Bastoni, Barella, Fratesi, all got call ups to the Italy team. Lautaro and Carboni on loan, also got a call up to the Argentina squad. Um, Thuram and Pavard got called up for France. Akanji, yes, we're going to talk about it because he is an Inter player now. Akanji got called up for the Switzerland squad. Hakan got called up for the Turkey squad. And then Denzel Dumfries and Stefan de Vrij got a national team call up to the Netherlands. Um, and then just to finish up, I do want to give all of you the games coming up. So Italy has two games in this international break. So does the Netherlands, Turkey, France, Argentina. Um, Go check those out to see if any of our players are playing in them. When we come back from the international break, um, we have the Primavera squad will play Parma. Um, the Inter women's team will play Fiorentina in the Serie A Women's Cup, not the league, the cup, the Women's Cup, on September 6th. And then after that, I believe will be their very first Europa Cup um, match against Hibernian from Scotland. That's Wednesday, September 10th. Uh, the U23 team will be playing Lecco. I'm American, please. Um, Cut me some slack. And then, of course, the Derby d'Italia is the first game back Saturday, um, 6 p.m. Central European time, 11 or 12 noon um, Eastern Standard Time in North America. Um, I'm trying to do the math real quick. Um, Very early morning over in Australia. Sorry about it. You might have to stay up late for that. I believe that's like a 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. game. Um, you guys are troopers for watching Inter all the way over there at terrible times of night. But big test when we come back. Anyway, if you've made it this far, wow, it was not much of a quicker episode, but if you made it this long listening to my voice the whole time, I really appreciate it. If you could, again, hit the like button, comment about anything that I talked about today, anything you wanted to add, anything that you want us to talk about, please go ahead and share, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can get notified whenever we upload a video. If you're listening on audio, wherever you find your podcast, if you could give us a 5-star rating, um, leave a review if you want. Um, and please, please, please share with your friends. We want more Interisti. We are the brothers and sisters of the world. Um, so, and you can always find us at Inter underscore extra on Twitter, and at Inter Extra on YouTube. Um, thank you guys, and Forza Inter Sempre.